Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to I Played a Thing, Hell, a cyberpunk thriller. Last time on Hell, we stopped by New Corporeal Biologics and learned a little about Meats and James Hennelly, and we got a whole big old info dump from Jean Saint-Mouchoir's computer, and we also finally got Languo Is Still, which means, although we are standing in Gang Alley right now, we are done with it forever. Hooray! Also, one quick thing before we get started. I did a little investigation on the voice actors for our heroes, and Buster Maxwell, who voices Gideon Ashanti, has had some small parts, nothing major. And Natalie Baker, the voice of Rachel Brock, same thing. They both had parts in Take-Two's other star-studded cyberpunk game, that being Ripper. But really not a whole lot else. However, I did learn that Natalie Baker has made a few appearances on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, of all things. Apparently there was an episode in which Mr. Rogers helped her find an apartment. It's a strange world, children. Anyway, since we have finished up with New Corporeal Biologics and found out what we could find out about James Hennelly, it's time to go looking for another person on the scrub list for the Night of Reentombment, and that is Adam Schonbrun of Eschatology Incorporated. And since we found out the address for Eschatology Incorporated from Mouchoir's computer, that's where we're going to head next. Incidentally, Adam Schonbrun's name may be another reference to BloodNet. It's hard to say for sure. There was a brand of cybernetic limbs in BloodNet called Schonbrun. So it might be a deliberate callback, and it might be just a name that the writers on both games happen to like. And here at the Watergate we find Eschatology Incorporated. First of all, we will take our customary look-see around.
As you might expect of an organization dedicated to the study of death and the end of things, they haven't spent a lot on decorating. But from the founder's wheelchair, to the holographic demon apiary chamber, to the Nike 12,000 computer, the equipment is state-of-the-art.
Did they say a Nike computer? They've really branched out in 2095. Let's see, who have we got around? There's Hercule Rudiker on the left, and on the right, Christy Abraxas. Let's take a look at Christy first.
A young woman exudes corporate professionalism and competence.
Fair enough. And what about Hercule?
A paraplegic is fused to the circuitry of a high-tech chair. Mechanical arms move in a swirl of activity.
Looks like wheelchairs have gotten a bit more impressive in 2095, too. Well, let's begin by talking to Christy.
We have some questions about Adam Schonbrun.
You should speak with Dr. Rudiker. I'll need his permission to help you.
Ah, well, that was straightforward. What's up, Doc?
So then, you arrive unannounced. You have business, I'm certain. You may state it, but be brief.
Dr. Octavius? Have you lost weight? You look great. Yeah, sorry to hear about the accident with your legs, though.
My partner and I are private investigators. We're looking into the death of one of your employees, Adam Schonbrun.
He was murdered by the scrub teams. He was in this very office before the dawn. That's when he liked to work. And a government death squad killed him.
What was a purported crime?
The scrub teams are not burdened by justification. Christie has lodged petitions on my behalf with the transgressor's office, demanding, as his employer, to know the charges. But nothing. They tell me nothing.
Well, that's fairly in keeping with what we know about the hand from our exploration so far. Yes, please tell us about Schönbrunn.
Schönbrunn was a strange one. But then I guess anyone obsessed with the ultimate fate usually does appear, well, shall we say, intense. Or hard work, cross-disciplinary research, blending extra-numinal vision research with Dante mapping.
Would that get him killed?
It might, I suppose, if the government knew of it. But until Adam's death, only the people working on it knew it existed.
Something else, then. Something not related to his work here.
Or then I would be unable to help. You see, I know very little about him. He was quiet, about his past. I don't believe he had a family.
He and Roach used to drink at a speak called the Interface. That's all I know about him. Doesn't pay to have D-bases of personal information that the Hand can appropriate.
Who's Roach?
You see that we can be of little help. As with all my employees, there is a template of his nervous system on file with Resurrections Unlimited. I believe... Oh, is his body in preservation there, Christie?
It is. We have him on a 6-year retainer. The damage to his heart is more or less reparable. The mortal wound was to his brain, and Resurrections believes it's at least 6 years from treatment.
What is this? You're telling us that this Resurrections outfit brings people back from the dead?
Well, that is implied by the name Resurrections, isn't it?
Well, not yet. But they are working on it, huh? Important work, or illegal work. They are a chemical company, as, what is the word? As a front for the real business. They are located in Arlington, not far from here. Hell is my business. Should you learn anything of interest about the underworld, I should like to hear it.
Resurrections Unlimited, huh? I guess they're actually doing that thing where they cryo-freeze your body and wait until they can cure whatever's wrong with you. Even if that problem happens to be a ventilated brain. Anyway, that's about all we're going to get out of the doc, I believe, so let's have a chat with Christie.
I've reservations about cooperating with these two Hercule. We don't know them from a blood gang. They could knock us, and then we'd have a first-hand look at hell.
I refuse to live in fear of being shot by the Hand's despots. And I don't believe any more than you do that the government controls the underworld.
Besides, I don't know. I can't help but feel that the doc here could kind of fuck some scrub teams up with those robot limbs of his.
We're going to end up in prison, no doubt about it.
We have some questions about Adam Schönbrunn.
All I know about Adam is what's in his file. I make it a point not to enter into personal relationships with the research staff. Peculiar thing about him was that Hercule had never heard of him. A number of people said that they knew him, but no one had actually met him or spoken with him.
You weren't suspicious?
Of course we were suspicious, but we're an illegal operation. We have enough of our own secrets. If an employee has something to hide, that's his business. And like I said, people vouched for his work, and we could see he knew what he was doing. He was especially gifted at extracting topographic data from psychologic subtexts of narrative events.
You mean that he was rendering a map of hell based on books and movies with hell as a subject matter?
Subject matter doesn't need to be hell per se. Any story that reveals human understanding of evil, lust, death, hate, or venal sin reveals something about people's subconscious conceptions of hell.
Any idea why the Hand would want him dead?
Yes. Dante mapping's a capital offense. What do you think we do here, tell ghost stories? If the Hand knew he was a mapper, they'd eliminate him. That stuff about permits was just a cover in case you were with the heat, which is why I was hostile to you earlier. We could be next on their list.
Okay. That's kind of interesting about Dante mapping. Seems that if you're trying to pick up on the actual geography of hell from fictional materials, that would be kind of an inexact science. But, we seem to have some pretty intellectual folks here. One assumes they know what they're doing. But that is neither here nor there. The important thing is, we have a lead on the final resting place, or temporary resting place, rather, of Adam Schönbrunn, that being Resurrections Unlimited. So we are going to go there, and it's not going to go well. You'll see shortly. As always, we will check out the environs.
You'd never know such grand things were being attempted at Resurrections Unlimited by this nondescript anteroom, which seems to serve as both a box storage area, utilities room, and guard room for the entrance to the company.
And who have we got over here? Dr. Zip Honey. I gotta say, that's kind of an awesome name. Also awesome is the reflective metallic dress. That's pretty damn cool.
A lone staffer eyes you indifferently.
How you doing, Dr. Honey?
About time you two showed up. It's been one long nightmare maintaining the stock with the backup computers. We have to get the main system up, or I can't guarantee that some of our clients' essence files won't be corrupted.
Doctor, that is a singularly wacky-looking piece of hardware you have there. But I do still like the dress.
Wanna come again with that?
Aren't you two here to install the new motherboard on the DIL 3000?
Yeah, well, yeah. What else would we be here for?
Well, then get to it. The data storage chamber is through that door. Be careful. You have to deactivate the security system. But they would have told you how to do that when they ordered the motherboard. Sure, we'll be glad to have that system up and running.
Oh god, the security system. That is exactly why things are not going to go well here. But, again, you will see that very shortly. Anything else for us, Doc?
Do you two charge by the hour or what? Installing a motherboard shouldn't be that hard for you guys, even if it is on an illegal DIL 3000. Turn off the security system and get working on it.
Well, since we are not the actual repair people, and we do not have instructions for turning off the security system, we're gonna have to go at it a different way. And it's not going to work. Fortunately, that doesn't bring the game to a screeching halt, but I am going to drop a save game just to see you, just to show you why things are kind of destined to fail. Alright, let's go on into the security corridor. Yep, we've got beams, and as you might expect, the beams are hooked up to an alarm system. Now, what we are supposed to do here is head into the inventory and break out the mechanics creeper that we pilfered from Celine Solix's garage. Use that on Gideon here. Alright, and now we can control Gideon with the mouse. But as you notice, there are no shadows under the beams, the perspective is not very helpful, and Gideon moves kind of choppily. Also, we have, in addition to the horizontal beams that move rather quickly, we have those vertical beams that appear and disappear very quickly, seemingly at random. So, all in all, I historically have found this section to be pretty much impossible. I mean, I know it can be done, because there are people out there who have done it, but, you know, I do not consider myself completely incompetent at the Vidya games, and I have not ever been even close to the end of this corridor. Well, let's give it the old college try and see how far we can get. Okay, that's one beam. Sometimes I don't get that far. Oh, frame rate.
You are under arrest in the name of the Hand. You will atone for your transgressions.
Nice lipstick, Gideon.
Goodbye, Gideon Ashanti. I take your youth and your sanity from you and lock it away. I leave your body to rot in stink and sweat, your mind to suffer in the grip of my power. Oh, I will see to it that you live a long life, a life spent mourning for what might have been. Peace, Gideon, and may the hand of God comfort you.
Thanks, Cyber Grace. Are you kind of lacking a lower body there? Okay, we don't need to look at the credits right now. Yeah. So, it's very, very fortunate that completing the security corridor and actually reaching Schönbrun's body does not set any important flags that allow you to continue with the game. You would get information there, but... Whoa. Was this where I saved? I hope so. Got a little glitching in the save game name there. Anyway, yeah. Even though we would get some information there, it is possible to complete the game without it. But for the record, you know how everyone from the Night of Re-Entombment that we've investigated has had this Latin phrase associated with them? It's always vocabulum est something ominous venire abgenitor. Well, that, a similar phrase is found on Schönbrun's body, and the word that always changes with every individual is acquirer. So his phrase is vocabulum est acquirer ominous venire abgenitor. Again, we are not required to actually obtain that in-game. I've certainly never seen it in-game, but that's the piece of the puzzle we would get there. And so, we're as done with Resurrections as we're ever going to be. So let's move along to our next destination. And that's going to be the Neo-Gnostics. The Neo-Gnostics had an employee named Deirdre O'Connor, and she was another victim on the Night of Re-Entombment. So let's see if she's got some Latin for us. are the Neo-Gnostics? Oh, they're around here somewhere. There we go.
The attempt to study spiritual truths has not yet transcended matter. The Gnostics of 2095 need a lot of stuff to pursue their studies. The former church that serves as their headquarters is crammed with scanning equipment, computers, and various other instruments of intellectual pursuit.
Okay, who is that on the right? That is Donna Alandro.
A bookish woman nervously sneaks glances at you.
And over here on the left?
You see an intense, exotic man, whom you recognize as Professor Zaxton Coronary.
Yes. Professor Zaxton fucking Coronary. I swear, this game and its names. Interestingly, the hint book for this game gave his name as Professor Amadeus Coronary. Just an odd little discrepancy there. I kinda like the name Zaxton, though.
And there they are, Gideon Ashanti and Rachel Brock, fugitives from a system they served with faith and ardor. Once pure and righteous, now expelled and hunted.
Our reputation precedes us.
What the hell? How'd this guy make us? His write-up doesn't have him a looker.
Mystery to me, hon. Give it, Professor. How do you know who we are?
I could ask the same question, you know. If the transgressor's office knows of this location...
Feel free to panic, they know about it. They're just waiting till it's your turn to be the scrub of the month. Don't kid yourself. You're like everybody else, living at the whim of the hand.
Ah, Rachel, a ray of sunshine as always.
We track what happens in places like reality containment. When the hand orders 2 ARC investigators scrubbed, that's news in the underground.
So you know us. That just makes things easier. You know we're not working for ARC.
Quite so. Very well. I'm listening, then.
Yes, we would like to know about our fellow scrub victim, Deirdre O'Connor.
Ms. O'Connor was killed the same night the scrub team came for us.
Well, I should say fellow scrub target, considering Rachel and Gideon avoided being actual victims.
I know that, Miss Brock. She was murdered while she slept, killed by the people you used to work for.
Believe it or not, we're trying to find out why Deirdre O'Connor and 5 other people were scrubbed on the night we were attacked. If we can establish some connection between the victims, it might help us to clear ourselves.
There's no mystery here. Deirdre, along with another scholar, Wickersham Dodge, worked European and Asian black markets for virtual realities. She was good, too. She'd just picked up a dozen dreamscape realities in Istanbul. But at the same time, the Istanbul foray was reckless. She was reckless. We knew the hand was watching, that virtual media dealing in part with a legitimate religion could risk bringing the authorities down on us. She didn't care. It was as though she thought she couldn't die. She was an unusually physical woman. I suppose she thought she could fight her way out of any problem.
She was combat trained?
Not that I know of. But if she was, she would have been fearsome. She was, as I said, quite physical. Over 6 feet tall, quite athletic. But I know little about her past. You should speak with David. He's a novice here who worked as her assistant.
And we do have a whole lot of Latin phrases we've been hearing lately. Wouldn't hurt to have someone who could read a little into those.
Yes, I speak Latin and several other languages fluently.
We could have a use for that. The hand indulges in Latinate phrasing for much of its encryption.
I know, yes. Yes, I know. And you need a translator. But my services are not without fee. I have a job that requires someone with your skills.
What skills, Professor?
Skills that allowed you to evade a scrub team.
Don't ask us for a replay, Professor. Adrenaline kicked in. Reflexes took over, and we got really lucky. We're not mercs, if that's your angle.
What I have in mind is much safer. A simple breaking and entering. There's an antiquities collector named Blystock, who lives in a penthouse near L'Enfant Plaza. He has an 18th century manuscript, the Blaze Parchment, that we must examine. I see what you're thinking. The Gnostics don't usually resort to thievery, but Blystock obtained the parchment illegally. It was supposed to have been included in a secret auction in an exurban slum outside Jakarta. I was there to bid on it, but it never came up for sale. I learned later that Blystock had stolen the parchment en route to Jakarta.
Blaze Parchment? This is familiar. We've come across this before.
We have?
Blaze was a scientist and philosopher, much at odds with the Enlightenment world in which he lived. Blaze's visionary work is said to have presupposed the essential structures of cyberspace. Unfortunately, his work was never published. Only this original copy remains. We must examine it. If you want my service as a translator, I'll have your service as a thief. Bring me the Blaze Parchment and I'll help you.
Fetch quest. Fair enough. Got anything else to say, Doctor?
You haven't got the parchment. You know the terms of the bargain.
We haven't even left the room yet. Well, clearly that's all we're going to get out of good old Professor Zaxton for the moment. So let's have a chat with Donna.
Excuse me, not to intrude, but did I hear Professor Coronary say you were going to retrieve the Blaze Parchment from Blystock's clutches? Oh, I hope that's true. It would be a start to your redeeming yourselves for your ARC service.
You can shove redemption, Bookworm. We'll settle for survival.
Rachel. Could you be any more charming?
Relax, Bookworm. We spoke to Coronary. I wouldn't say we're welcome guests, but he knows we're not here to trash the place.
We're trying to discover why O'Connor was scrubbed. Any ideas?
She was, what you'd, well, she was a Trodehead. She could jack into cyberspace. Oh, she had a deck that she claimed to have jury-rigged. She was very good, too. Knew her way around. She used to work for the Sustenance Authority until she, well, as she put it, edge-surfed out of transglobe culture.
That computes, Gid.
I suppose so. In a limited sense, it does. O'Connor was a natural target. So was an eschatologist like Schoenbrunn. And O'Leary owned to speak with Sinn Féin affiliations. But I still don't see the link between us and these subverts.
Anything else on your mind, Donna?
I hope you're learning the truth about your former masters.
Indeed we are. That was a rather nice spin Gideon did before having the conversation for some reason. Well, we've got our next mission with the Blaze Parchment and whatnot, but before we deal with that, there's another room here that we can check out.
It seems fitting that where the altar used to stand in this former church, the Gnostics have mounted their main computer bank. Amidst the hush, heads bowed to their computers, this is where the core of their efforts are focused.
Fair enough. On the right, we have a youngster named Daniel, and on the left is the scholar Wickersham Dodge, who Professor Coronary had mentioned as working with Deirdre O'Connor.
A solemn boy in threadbare clothes stands near Deirdre O'Connor's desk. A square-jawed, decidedly unscholarly-looking man who nevertheless has the demeanor of one committed to work and study.
Fair enough. We'll try having a chat with Daniel first.
Is this where O'Connor worked? You can tell us, boy. We're on the same side. Sort of.
There's nothing to search for now. Nothing to learn here. She was going to teach me so many things. How to fly in cyberspace, and how to explore the virtual in search of the real. Now she's dead. It's too late.
Well, I think Daniel might be a little bitter over O'Connor's passing, and he also looks kind of like he's wearing a trash can.
Maybe not, son. There might be something. Her decking unit, for instance?
Your goons got that when they killed her. It's probably tagged and collecting dust in some Pentagon sub-basement. Forget about it. You can't search her desk until Professor Coronary tells me I have to let you.
Let's just knock this runt over.
I'm inclined to agree, Rach, but we're already wanted. Any violence, and Coronary could turn us in. Hell, he may do that anyway. Giving us to the hand would certainly buy him a lot of goodwill with transgressions.
Well, we're just gonna take a little peek at what's over here, huh?
That punk Daniel won't let us look at this list.
So much for that idea. How about Mr. Dodge over here?
If you're with Transgressions or ARC, you've come to the wrong place. I won't sing to the people who killed my friend. You can kill me before I do that.
Well, admirable loyalty, if nothing else.
Strong claim to be making to strangers, pal. If we were from Transgressions, we'd take you up on that. But we're not the Heat.
Well, we'll start by asking about his job. Basic small talk.
Right now, I'm not doing a whole hell of a lot because my partner was killed. I'm just going through some of the data she was working with. Dee and I maintained and monitored covert hookups with international networks and bulletin boards. Not an easy job with ARC programmers raiding the boards looking for unauthorized hooks that can trace to their source.
Yeah, we're familiar with their ops. They trace the origin of the link and then they send the stormtroopers in. What were you searching for?
We were pushing the edge. Dee insisted we not play it safe. We were trying to score cyberspace decks in the European black market. Not easy since Europe's well within the hand's grasp.
No wonder O'Connor got whacked. ARC's got knuckles all over the continent. Only hope of scoring a deck is to launder it through a third party in the Mideast or Russia.
And about O'Connor?
Why not ask her for that information?
What are you talking about? She's dead.
Yes, but she lives on, courtesy of her own handiwork. She spent months on this. Wouldn't tell me how she did it. And I haven't been able to crack the source code yet. How she did this with current technology is a mystery to me.
So what is it?
She programmed a source code that simulates her own personality, which is impressive enough. But then she also digitized her own voice, enunciating English language phonemes, and wrote programming routines that compose the phonemes into words on the fly. Amazing stuff. I don't know where she learned how to do this.
You're saying we can talk to her?
There's no visual output yet, but listen here.
Hey, Wick, what's booting your system?
Hi, Shodan.
There's some people here asking about you and about our work.
I assume they're legit. You gotta watch who you face with, Wicks. You're too trusting.
This is strange. We're talking to a dead person.
Yeah, freaking scrub teams wasted my proto. But the essential Deirdre is powered up and online. This has the potential to blow away an anti-deck interface.
That's Actidec, not Antidec.
So now what? We just asked this computer why O'Connor was killed?
Why not? Deirdre, can you shed any light on why the Hand chose now to kill you?
Hand need a reason to whack a techno-anarchist, post-humanist, entrepreneurial, free spirit obsessed with actuating the transhuman?
So Deirdre O'Connor was an Amazonian transhumanist who managed to kind of immanentize her own little mini-singularity. I gotta say, she sounds kinda awesome. Although, I'm not really high on the whole anarchist part. Anyway. Well, it looks like that's all we're gonna get out of either Wickersham or O'Connor. So, our next step is to go and retrieve that Blaze parchment for the good professor. And fortunately, we've got the only item we're gonna need in order to be able to do that. Let's see, we need to find the apartment of one Blystock. The collector's room, that's the place.
For burglars, the entire room's contents seemed desirable. But even inferior burglars would recognize that the room's most desirous articles are clearly booby-trapped.
Yeah, the whole lasers surrounding the important item here is kind of a dead giveaway about the whole booby-trap thing, I suppose. And that must be the parchment, so let's take a little look at that.
The crackling old parchment of this ancient text is rolled around a metallic spool.
Alright. Well, if we happen to interact with those lasers or try and reach through and grab the parchment directly, we'll get an alarm going off and an arrest sequence identical to the one we experienced in Resurrections Unlimited, so we're going to want to avoid that. However, we do have an item that should help us avoid that kind of situation. That being the electromagnet we picked up at New Corporeal Biologics. Since the parchment is wrapped around a metal roller, this is all we need. Now, you know, I'm really not a stickler for suspension of disbelief. I'm pretty easygoing with accepting that things just happen in a fantastical environment, but, yeah, I'm not so sure I can readily buy into the parchment slowly floating across the room toward Gideon's magnet. And why wouldn't it set off the lasers? Don't tell me they're attuned to only respond to flesh. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Now that we've got the Blaze parchment in hand, let's see if we can read anything on it.
The crackling old parchment of this ancient text is rolled around a metallic spool.
Nope, not a thing. Same as it looked from across the room. Go figure. Then again, it's probably in a language we couldn't understand anyway. So we've accomplished our mission there. Might as well head on back to Professor Coronary.
That doesn't work.
Click the wrong button.
Ah, the blaze parchment. Well done, well done. I assure you that when we have finished with it, we will see it placed somewhere where it will be appreciated.
Hey, live it up, Prof. And don't forget your side of the bargain.
I stand by my word. You see before you a translator.
We're hoping you can translate this Latin phrase for us. We've written it down for you.
Of course. Let me see. Vocabulum est tabula, ominus venere abgenitor. The Latin is poor, but it reads, the word is slate, and all comes from the father. The key word here seems to be tabula, which translates to slate.
He notes that the Latin is poor, but if I recall my Latin classes from high school, I'd have to say his Latin pronunciation is pretty poor. If I do not remember incorrectly, which is always a possibility, V's are pronounced like W's and G's are always hard, so it should be vocabulum est tabula, ominus venere abgenitor. But I'm just being pedantic.
The word slate. Not much of a clue.
Still, it's a clue, my brainy bow. It's something to go on.
I didn't say it was nothing, just that it wasn't much.
We're hoping you can translate this Latin phrase for us. We've written it down for you.
Of course. Let me see it. Vocabulum est grale, ominus venere abgenitor. The Latin is poor, but it reads, the word is grale, and all comes from the father. The key word here seems to be grale, which translates to stilts. A rather unlikely message.
The word stilts. Not much of a clue.
Really? Gee, it seems obvious to me.
The answer will be obvious when we're done with it.
The two of us have been repeatedly sharing the same nightmares, and after every one of them, we wake up screaming and with the same Latin sentence on our lips. Vocabulum est cirrus, ominus venere abgenitor. Can you translate that for us?
Of course. Quite easy. The Latin is poor, but it translates to, the word is late, and all comes from the father. The key word here seems to be late. Does this mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't. Not yet, at least. But it could be the start of something.
Okay, well, that's all the Latin words we've got to give to the professor right now. Let's see if Donna has anything new to say to us.
You're learning the truth about your former masters.
And she does not. What about the professor? No, just more about Latin. Alright, let's head over to the computer room and see if we can get a look at that bit of reading material on O'Connor's desk finally. Gideon, you're not going to go? Gideon? Well, that was weird. Alright, Daniel, you gonna let us through now?
The only reason I'm letting you search this desk is because Professor Coronary allows it. Don't think I'm forgiving you for what happened to Dee. Someday your kind will pay for what they did.
Well, he's as pleasant as ever, but at least he's letting us past. That's the important thing. Well, we've got a lot of chapters from the Sententia, which is the Hand of God's holy book, if I recall correctly. And we've got also Vocabulum est Janua, ominus venere abgenitor. Can we take that with? Indeed we can. Well, that gives us another Latin phrase to ask the professor about.
Yes, I speak Latin and several other languages fluently.
We know.
We're hoping you can translate this Latin phrase for us. We've written it down for you.
Of course. Let me see. The Latin is poor, but it reads vocabulum est janua, omnibus venere ab genitor. The word is gate, and all comes from the father. The key word here is janua, which is Latin for gate.
The word gate. Not much of a clue.
But enough? You've done more with less.
Oh, I'll figure it out. Give me time, and I'll figure it out. I just hope we have enough time.
Okay, so we've got gate, late, stilts, and slate. Also, if we were able to reach Adam Schönbrun's corpse and see the phrase written on his body, it would be vocabulum est, acquirer, omnis venere ab genitor. And that would translate to get. So we've also got the word get. They would seem to be all pieces of some kind of code, but what that might be, well, we don't even know what to do with it right now. So one other lead we have is the Psionic League, but there's a pretty annoying side quest tied to the Psionic League, so I'm not going to be bothered with that right now. Instead, we're going to follow up on that vouch that Elda Xenon gave us, and go visit the CFF and Senator Aaron Burr. There we are, the British Embassy. Alright, we've got a waiting room kind of situation here. Let's have a look around.
It seems ironic that this charming, refined, old-world parlor is the waiting room for the revolution, the outer office of the head of the CFF's so-called shadow government, Aaron Burr.
Alright. And we have got on the right, Charles the multi-server unit, and on the left are Vivid and Derek Literati.
You tentatively approach the Charles multi-server unit. Wrinkled skin and sagging muscles reveal the unit's age, but it is powerfully built. A young Asian woman is near a flesh and steel monstrosity.
Well, if you're talking about Charles, she isn't really near him. He's kinda on the other side of the room.
A dangerous-looking man casts a withering, unforgiving glare at you, making it clear that not everyone in the front welcomes your presence.
Well, let's start by talking to the hostile guy. Why not?
So you're Ashante and Brock, the rogue ARC agents who've got the 5 fingers shaking like palsied old women.
Huh. I didn't know we were making such a strong impression on them.
You got it, Chief. Doing your job for you.
Rachel.
Maybe you are. Did they check these 2, Vivid?
Stripped them and scanned them. Any weapons were stripped of ammo. Senator Burr wants to see them.
You make one false move near the senator, and I'll kill you.
We're on the same side, hard guy.
I don't know that. I just see a couple of ARC agents standing in CFF headquarters, and I get suspicious about how a couple of narcs took out a scrub team.
I thought we passed our initiation when we helped Xenon set up Solux.
I want him dead. Now, how do we know you haven't tipped Solux about that homing device you put on his vehicle? Xenon's too trusting. So Senator Burr, for that matter. I'll be watching. You should remember that. Senator's through the door on the left. Lucky for you, your fate is in her hands and not mine.
You know, there are many words I could use to describe Aldous Xenon, and trusting would not be among them. Now that's enough out of you, Bookie McParanoid. Vivid, you gonna be a little more hospitable?
You've gotta be kidding me. That can't be what it looks like.
Can be and is. What's the matter? Never seen a meat before?
I've never been this close to a living one before. Their skin's real, and yet the machines... Look! The control panel rises and falls as he respirates. Doesn't he spook you?
Gideon, your memory's kind of failing you there. You have been pretty close to a living meat before. You remember the robot uterus that you met only one update ago?
Not me. But maybe that's 'cause we're sort of family. Did my fetal time in a feckin' 5085.
Speak of the devil.
You look fine. Any negative side effects?
What do you remember about your mother's womb? Do you recall how that affected you? Hell, I've got time-elapse film of my gestation.
Yeah, I remember reading about it. Science makes war on motherhood. That was the feeling, I think.
Takes some adapting, but he's got his uses once you're onto him. Knows what he's doing in the embassy commissary. Great omelets. Charles is over 68 years old. His hardware hasn't been upgraded in 50 years, so it's clunky, and his organic tissue is aged. But you're not so bad, are you, Charles?
System memory and processing speed functioning at 89.4% capacity. White blood count is normal. No infections or serious illness to report.
Well, almost 90% capacity isn't too bad, I suppose.
Freaks the hell out of me. Solix may be evil, but I can't be sorry it put the meats on cold storage. I mean, just look at this hideous thing.
Anything else, Vivid? No. Okay, well, let's have a little conversation with Charles himself.
His flesh is so real, so human. But then there are those machines in his abdomen. It's monstrous.
You know, I couldn't help but notice that Gideon walked across the screen to talk to Charles while Rachel stayed right where she was on the other side of the room. I'd say that was kind of a neat touch, if the pathfinding in this game led me to believe that it was in any way intentional.
Yeah, Charles, your specs, please.
I am a Charles-class multi-server unit. My hardware is powered by 400 megahertz of processing power and a 12 terabyte drive. Gibtex Free Association modules and Pandar Lab creative memory cells serve respectively as primary operating system and source storage. My wetware was spawned from New Corporeal's Genesis genome and grown in a hothouse near Federal Center. Wetware incubation occurred over 7-month period. Quality assurance tests completed. Current diagnostics Major organs, 73% efficacy. Rating reflects minor heart blockage, development of possibly precancerous polyps along wall of large intestine. Organelles, 89% efficacy. Rating reflects deteriorations in lymphatic system. Skeletal system, 100% efficacy. Circulatory system.
Okay, 12 terabytes is a pretty respectable amount of storage even today, but my god, 400 megahertz? Chaz, you've got half the processing power of my cell phone. Yeah, 400 megahertz would have been a lot at the time that this game came out in 1994, but I gotta say, that part of the dialogue has not aged proportionally.
That's enough, Charles. Thanks.
Don't think so, Charles.
Go ahead, Charles. I'm curious.
Selected services catalog for Charles Series multi-server unit. Last upgrade, December 2048. Selected list, areas of specialty, auto mechanics, cosmetology, epistemology, heating and refrigeration, palmistry, and wok cookery. I am a licensed EMT. Language proficiency, major European, African, and Asian tongues. Dialect upgrades available, both Mandarin and Cantonese, with assimilator modules for adaptation to local variants. My lexicon processors are fashioned from a mech cortical tissue matrix for rapid adaptability. I am a skilled raconteur, programmed with fictional superstructures, symbols, imagery, and themes particular to dozens of cultures.
Wow, quite the Renaissance man.
Some other time, Charles. We've just met, you know. It'll take a couple of meg of text to sell me on this thing. I still think he's hideous.
Oh, sorry, Charlie. She doesn't mean it.
Yes, I do. Don't apologize for me. This thing doesn't have feelings.
Yes, don't apologize for her. I don't have feelings, unless you want me to.
Aw. Okay, that is the computer room, and that is the senator's office. Let's check out the computer room first.
Where CFF revolutionaries get to watch the Revo as it unfolds on holovids and internets like the rest of the country. It's also where they develop illegal computer Soshi-techs that they'll need to implement when and if they ever overthrow Solux.
Internets, huh? Are there rumors on them? And seated at the computer there we have Katarina Gertz, and apparently there are two of them? Just a little error in the examinable listing there.
A woman works her keypad like a concert pianist. She seems determined to make her dated machine work magic.
This looks like a command center, is that right?
Good eye, Chief.
You're working on a Lex 6000? Little dated, isn't it?
Casing's from a Lex. I got the insides cranked. It could probably handle a deck if there were anywhere in cyberspace worth going. This kind of hardware isn't easy to come by. The Brits pony up what they can, but the Hand limits tech transfers even in here. Just a matter of time before the Hand stops respecting diplomatic immunity altogether.
Anything else we should know?
Whatever it is, ask the Senator. She runs the show. I just work here.
Well, fair enough. Meeting Senator Burr is what we came here for, ultimately. so we shall head on over to her office.
Aaron Burr has left the elegant trappings of an embassy conference room relatively untouched, as if to remind herself that while it's meant to serve as her office, it's only temporary, and to savor its plushness would be to overlook the fact that there's a turgid revolution brewing outside.
That's right, a turgid revolution. A turgid, veiny, throbbing revolution.
A formidable Aaron Burr sizes you up with the perceptive eye of a politician.
Hey, Senator.
Mr. Ashanti, Ms. Brock, Aldous Xenon has briefed me about your midnight visitors. Never trust animals that eat their young or a government that shoots its own people.
Right now, we don't have a lot of trust left for anybody, Senator.
You've proved to me that you have your uses. For now, at least. I'm going to risk trusting you.
You won't regret it. Desperate people can make loyal allies.
There is something you can help me with. Something that has divided the front's leadership for years. It involves missing comrades. The current effort to strike at Solux are by no means our first. Our most ambitious and perhaps reckless attempt occurred a few years ago, when 15 of our finest agents undertook a guerrilla raid on the Pentagon. Acting on intelligence from agents we have on the inside, the attack force was to infiltrate the Pentagon, make its way along air ducts and secured hallways to the Imperator's sanctum, and kill it.
But something happened.
They never made it to Solux. In their final transmission, Marcus Vanders, the attack leader, reported they discovered something so significant, so disturbing in its implications that they didn't trust explaining it over wireless transmission. Whatever it was, caused Vanders to immediately abort the mission and order a return here to the embassy. The last we heard, they were engaged in a running firefight with the Imperator's troops. 8 members of the attack team were confirmed dead by Vanders before we lost contact with him.
You figure the Hand is holding them prisoner? Maybe in hell?
It's possible. I'm among those who think we should not give up hope of rescuing them until we know they are dead.
That's a good attitude, Senator. Leave no one behind.
Corpus delicti, eh? You're the boss. Why not lay down the law?
Because my staff is divided over the issue. Because I haven't people to spare on what is probably a futile effort.
But now you've got us. Surplus labor, eh? A little gravy.
Gravy.
You get the picture. As you fight to save yourselves, I'd like for you to search for evidence, on Earth or in Hell, of the attack team's fate. In addition to Vanders, the unaccounted-for commandos are Harold Balk, Lena Gordon, Vic Tavaleo, Mick Malone, Claudette Simeone, Francis Robinson, and Czech Vilsov.
We'll do what we can.
Report to me whenever you learn anything about the attack team, or about anything else that might aid in the struggle against Solux and against Hell. You can usually find me in the command room.
Well, with that, we have some new allies in the CFF, and we have a new mission to find out what happened to the attack team from the CFF that disappeared while trying an assassination mission on Solene Solux. Alright then. I think that's been right about an hour, give or take, so I think that's a good place to leave off for now. And next time we should have some very significant events taking place, and I am looking forward to it. I hope you'll join me then, and in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. This is Un, signing off.